Chairman Mao, Jamie Howe, Ho Chi Minh, Asif Din, Václav Havel, Graham Saville, No Surrender, Percy Fender, Guerilla Cricket.
Welcome again to Guerilla Cricket. Now, if you want to give a youngster a beautifully illustrated, easy to understand book to get them enthused about cricket, what choices are there? Well, if you Google my first cricket book, you'll find out a couple of things. Firstly, there aren't that many options. And secondly, they don't come that cheap. Our game doesn't always do a great job of igniting the enthusiasm of youngsters and their parents, for that matter. And a decline in participation numbers rather sadly testifies to that. But there is hope. And that hope comes from Zulu Natal in the shape of Howzatt, a beginner's guide to the game of cricket. It's a small but beautiful book with a big story to tell. And I'm delighted to have with me today its author, Michelle Lang. Michelle, welcome.
Thank you so much, Tony. I appreciate this opportunity to chat to you.
That's a great pleasure. Now, it's small, it's beautifully illustrated, and it's really simple in explaining the rules of cricket. Tell me a little bit about what really makes it different to other cricket books.
Tony, I think the fact that I was probably a parent of 4 sons, and I didn't understand the game at all when I first started watching the game. As a matter of fact, my very first date with my husband happened to be to a cricket match at Kingsmead, and I really didn't understand much. But then, having had 4 sons, I realized that I'd better get to know this game. So one of my sons was actually a very talented cricket player, and I realized at the time that there wasn't a little record-keeping book for him. The school had, but not for him. So I decided to work on something like that. And then took it to the next level of actually learning the game and writing the rules out and having it beautifully illustrated. So it's actually a very simple and easy book to understand. There's lovely illustrations. It's illustrated for children, but at the same time, it's not. It shouldn't be anything that. It shouldn't put people off, older players. I've had mums reading it and have been delighted sitting on the side of the field, being able to understand. It's quite simple to understand.
Well, that really sort of answers my next question in a way, because I was going to ask who it's, having read it, it's a good refresher to anybody, even somebody who spends a lot of their life watching cricket. But when you set about writing it, who did you have in mind? Who were you aiming it at?
I was aiming it at new players to the game, those who didn't understand the game of cricket, because it can be quite confusing when you sitting on the sidelines trying to watch this game between 2 teams and you really have got no idea what's going on. So it was aimed towards people who don't, children at that time, because I was a mum sitting on the side of the field and I felt the children needed a book, but it also taught me. And then I realized as I got further along the line that actually the mums were enjoying it as well. It was very easy to understand, simple and easy to understand.
Well, that's brilliant. I mean, and it feels like such a simple idea and kind of one that's time is right, I suppose. Yet there don't seem to be that many similar books out there in either content, low price, or in the sort of degree of simplicity they have. Well, why do you think that is?
Tony, I don't know if people are changing from the paperback versions and maybe life has become a bit more digital and children are playing games now on computers rather than getting out and playing cricket games and soccer and sort of sports, or whatever. So I'm not 100% sure why, but I just aimed at keeping it very simple and keeping it affordable. I think that was the other thing, is affordability. I think that's very important, is to be able to offer the book at a very affordable price for anyone to be able to
well, we'll certainly go on and talk about that, but you've mentioned the price there. So I think it's £3.50 in UK money, which is about $4.60. So it's under $5 if you're in the US. It's under £4 by a long way if you're in the UK. So it certainly is fantastically affordable for the beautiful little product that it is. Now, you say that the mission for Howzatt, with 3 T's, I think, representing the three stumps from what I worked out. Yeah. You say the mission is to be ambassadors for the sport of cricket by assisting with education of the youth, the growth and development of the game within our communities, and by providing them with education and equipment. Now, that's a brave and brilliant objective. Is the book already helping towards achieving that objective?
Yes. So what we did last year during COVID, we decided that although we had the book available in English for the English medium children, we actually didn't have it available for the isiZulu children and the Xhosa children and other children in our country. So during the time when we were all in lockdown, we decided to translate the book into isiZulu. That was the first one. And so we've been working with Dolphins, which is the Zulu Natal franchise. That's Hollywood Bets Dolphins, with Heinrich Stradum. And they are very interested in taking into their development hubs, because they go into the rural communities, the actual players, and they teach the skills of cricket to the young children in the different rural areas. They've got something like 15 different hubs with about 90 different schools that they approach. And so they are looking at least 5,000 isiZulu books to take to those young children. And so that is the first book we've translated. We're looking at doing it in Xhosa now as well. And and then from there, we are looking at also going into Aboriginal dialects. And I'm working with a gentleman in Australia, Mr. Ken Jacobs, who is wanting to form a business partnership with me. The two of us are looking at that to convert the book, not convert so much as to translate the book into a whole lot of different languages. So it's available, it's affordable, it's available to different children in different countries, and not just the children, but to different cultures.
Well, that's very exciting, and we'll certainly talk a little bit about those growth plans as you conquer the cricket world to bring young folk into the game, which is such a commendable objective. But let's just talk about the book and its format as well a little bit, because it looks beautiful in print, but there's also an interactive app-based version, isn't there? So you're very much in the modern world in the way that you're distributing it, and people, I believe, can choose both, or one or the other.
That's right, yes. So we do have the book in paperback, and we do have the book in EPUB version. The EPUB version is it's available on the Cricket South Africa app as a downloadable version, as well as through our website. And one would download it literally with a click onto your cell phone and be able to read the entire book on your cell phone. So it's available for you on the side of the cricket, on the boundary, if you as such, if you're needing to look up certain rules and regulations and how to hold a ball and whatever certain umpire signal might mean.
Well, that's fantastic. So I should tell people who are listening that if you're watching this on video, the link to where you can get it will be on that video. If you're listening it on podcast, then you'll also find in the blurb that. And if you read the article on our website, then it's included as part of that article. So wherever you happen to be engaging with this chat I'm having with Michelle, you will find a link to that book as well. Now, it's got quite a little history, hasn't it, really, the book? Because didn't it first start as far back as 1998?
It certainly did, yes. So as I mentioned, my one son was playing cricket, and I realised that there was no place for them to have their own personal record keeping. It was all done through the school books. And so I developed that. Nowadays, of course, there's lots of apps that one can choose from to be able to do that. But in those days, you didn't really record your own cricket records. The school had it, or the club had it, and that was it. So that's how the sort of idea started. And then we managed to put the rules together as well. And I sent it off to Dr. Ali Bacher and the late Bob Wilmer, and were delighted when they both endorsed the book. And because they were both very much into cricket development as well. And they saw it as a great opportunity to get the game of cricket out there.
Well, that's quite some endorsement for starters, for sure. Now, it's also a bit of a family affair, isn't it? I looked inside the front cover, and there's quite a lot of Langs doing various things apart from you writing it. So tell us a little bit about the family involvement there.
Okay, so I have married into a cricket crazy family, and that's how it all started. As I say, my first date with my husband was to a game of cricket at Kingsmead.
He's a man after my own heart. That's real style. I'm impressed with that.
that was the first date. So I guess I must have, maybe he bowled a maiden over, and we stuck together. And anyway, we landed up having 4 sons, and they are all cricket crazy. And the eldest one, Dylan, was actually the one who got me inspired for the game way back in 1997, 98. And anyway, I did the whole book, then got the endorsements, and from there it kind of got put to sleep for a while because life carries on and one does all sorts of other things and grows families, etc. And it resurrected itself about 3 years ago, where the whole family had now since grown up. So yes, they are very much involved now, not just as young boys, but they now are very much involved in the game of cricket as well, and were involved in helping me finally put the book again into paperback version. So Dylan has done all the illustrations. He's a sound engineer by profession, but he's also incredibly creative. So he fortunately helped me put the actual book together. Ryan did all the research. My husband's current affairs, so he has to let me know what's going on all the time in the rest of the cricketing world, because I'm totally focused on the book and the development of cricket and getting the book out there to the children. And the other boys are there on the sideline, all putting their pennies worth in as well. But very much a family affair, and they've got a mum who's now become a cricket crazy fanatic as well. So it's something that we all enjoy.
Well, those illustrations are certainly beautiful. Now, so you indeed took it first to Cricket South Africa, and that was at that point that Dr. Ali Bakker, the late Bob Warmer, endorsed it. But then you've now working very closely with Dolphins, who are the Hollywood Bets Dolphins, who are the franchise who play from out of Kingsmead, aren't they? And you've got them distributing the book through their players, which is very exciting. You've translated it already into Zulu. So it's in English and Zulu.
That's correct.
So you're on a real mission to extend this book, which is fantastic. Tell us, how is the rest of that going? You started to tell me a little bit earlier about some of the other countries and ways you're taking it to the world. How's that going? Yes. So
our next objective is to do it in Xhosa, which is another of the South African dialects, and it has a very big following in cricket. There's a lot of Xhosa players and a large following of young players. So that's what we'd like to do next. And we're hoping to work with Cricket South Africa on that one. And then very excited about the fact that I have made contact about 2.5 years ago with a gentleman called Mr. Ken Jacobs. He's a sports promoter from Australia, and he had seen the book through LinkedIn and was quite taken by it as well. And he had actually also played cricket with Dr. Ali Bakker. And he felt that if Dr. Ali Bakker had endorsed it, there's got to be something behind it. So we've been chatting over the years, and it's got to the point now where we are looking at forming a business venture, and our objective is to translate the book into some of the Aboriginal dialects. There's quite a few of them, apparently, I suppose, a bit like our African dialects. We've got something like 11 official languages here in South Africa. So I'm not too sure about how many dialects there are in the Aboriginal communities. But we're going to be working on that. And then also, he is involved with Cricket Without Borders. He's a director with them. And he feels that we can get the book into some of the South Pacific Islands, Vanuatu, Indonesia, and then also as far as Japan and Peru and all sorts. So we are looking at being able to offer the book in different translations. We're wanting to keep it cheap, affordable, and a percentage of those sales to go to that particular cricketing nation towards their cricket development program. So that's kind of the idea. Big dreams, but from a little mustard seed.
So well, let's just pause on that one a second, Michelle, because that's a very important message, I think. So for every book you sell, a proportion of the money goes to helping the developing organizations in the countries where you're selling the book. So the money, a proportion of your money goes straight to back into helping the game at grassroots level.
Correct. That's exactly what we're looking at, is to form business affiliations with different cricketing nations and being able to offer the book to their nation in their language for their children, or not just their children, though anyone who doesn't understand the game of cricket, and thereby offering a percentage of the sale of that book back to them to be able to go into their grassroots education and development program.
Well, that we speak with a lot of folk who are engaged in that sort of thing. It just immediately occurs to me that you should meet Ebony Rainford Brent and the guys who run the Edge program in the UK out of Surrey. They're doing phenomenal work bringing the Black African community back into the game of cricket, which of course has just died off over the years. When you think of the great days of the West Indies and participation there now, and they're doing a phenomenal job in that area. So that's, well, at the end, I'll make sure I effect that that introduction for you.
Thank you so much.
Now, how many do you think you're likely to sell this year? Do you have a sort of a handle on the sales so far?
Well, it's quite hard to sort of say, because one can never really gauge these things. But I think I would love to be able to say that I'm aiming at 1 million copies. And in the massive cricket world, I don't think that's a lot, actually. I think it's quite a few. It's not really that much. But I'm hoping for at least 1 million to be able to work towards that. But that's not really the objective of the game, other than the fact that obviously we'll get to 1 million players. The objective is to really just get this little book out there to the different communities and work with sponsors as well. We don't have to even sell so many books as sponsors coming on board to be able to give the books out to the children and to young cricket teams and whatever. So the objective is, yes, it is an entrepreneurial or a business as such, but there's more to it than that. And I think it's because I come from a country where it's not a very wealthy country. There obviously are parts of the country which are very wealthy, but in general, we are a country that is battling, and so we see a huge need for a lot of things. And I just believe that in my way, hopefully, I can give back to something that I've got a passion for, and hopefully we can do quite a few sales, but the whole objective is to be able to get the book out there in different languages. So we'll see. I'll chat to you in a couple of months' time and let you know how that's going.
Well, that brings me to my last question, really, Michelle, because I was going to ask you. Let's project forward. It's 3 years from now, and you're looking back on the Howzatt journey. Where do you see both you and the book being in 3 years' time?
Okay, I am a dreamer. I'm a big dreamer. So that's actually probably.
But you're not the only one.
Absolutely. I'm a dreamer, and I do have if anybody knows me well, they'll know that I have got quite a determined personality to make something work when I've set my put my teeth into it. So I would love to actually see this book in at least 5 or 6 different languages. And that's just a small sort of dream. It's a much bigger dream. But I think the main thing is to get the book out there in different languages, affordable to all, and at grassroots levels. We've got mini cricket here in South Africa, which is run through KFC. and they take the child up to about 6 years old. And then I would say this is the gap between 6 and 13 years old. So yeah, I see it as a development book, and different languages. Hopefully that's what we can do. Ken and I can conquer the world of cricket.
Conquer the world of cricket, and by bringing more people into the game of cricket, which is phenomenal.
No, certainly not. Yeah, not conquer it, but just get it out there. Just get it out there in an easy to read, affordable version. That's all.
Fantastic. Well, look, Michelle, it's quite a story, and we're delighted you've taken this initiative and that you're doing it. It's a little work of art. Now, let me remind you once again about the book itself. It's just 32 pages, easily digested and beautifully, simply illustrated description of the game of cricket. Costs just £3.25, which is $4.60 today on today's exchange rate in the US dollars. It's available around the world. It covers history, basic rules, cricket terms, and while showing its technicalities such as shots, fielding positions, types of bowling, etc., it achieves its simplicity without ever patronising. It's a delightfully simple, clear, graphic, and simple read. How do you get it? Well, you can go to our website at guerillacricket.com. You can check out our social media. You'll find a link wherever you're listening to this podcast or watching this video. And you will find that will take you straight to the ebook. But from the ebook, you can also go straight to the print version if that would be your preference. So that's going to take you to wherever you need to go for the online version. You're able to order it in either format. And you will be playing your part in raising funds to support cricket development when you do. A reminder, of course, that you can get this that you're listening to now as a podcast on all of our podcast platforms. And of course, if you're a Guerilla Cricket Patreon, then you get it first and fastest. But we're on all our channels, and delighted to have had this conversation. Michelle, once again, thank you very much indeed.
Tony, thank you so much for the opportunity of chatting to you and your listeners. Very grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Guerilla Cricket.
Revolutionary cricket commentary.